Hey everybody, JCB here at the Awesomist, and you're watching the Awesomist Awesome List. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Ghostbusters, and I have to tell you, I love this movie. I know every single line, and every time I watch it, I drive my fiance crazy. And it's out of that love that I present to you this list of the top 6 weirdest things about the movie Ghostbusters. Number 6, the Pink Lady. Let's start with the obvious. I always thought it was strange that this loose end never gets tied up. At the start of the film, we follow a lonely librarian down the long halls of the New York Public Library. She begins noticing odd things happening, and in her fear runs aimlessly through the rows of old books, eventually coming face to face with what we assume is probably a scary ghost. It's actually just this pink lady. Later, Ray and Peter meet up with Egon and go snooping about. Eventually, they spot the same ghost, and Peter tries one of his classic pickup lines, but gets rejected. Ray comes up with the most ingenious plan in movie history, the ghost shows its true colors, and our heroes flee from the scene as fast as their feet can carry them, never to return. This is strange. For the movie to start with such an iconic scene that never gets resolved is just weird. And the Pink Lady is such a memorable ghost. I remember as a kid asking my dad why they never went back and caught her. Now I admit part of me was just scared that the Pink Lady was going to come tear my 5-year-old face off, but this movie is called Ghostbusters, right? To be fair, the scene is actually resolved in one of the Ghostbusters video games that came out a few years ago, but we had to wait 20 plus years for that game. And as a film, it's very strange not to get that closure. Number 5. Where the hell did all that cool stuff come from? At the start of the scene in which Ray and Peter enter the library, we overhear a conversation in which Peter is playing the Skeptic. Here's the actual dialogue from the scene.
As a friend, I have to tell you, you've finally gone around the bend on this ghost business. You guys have been running your ass off, meeting and greeting every schizo in the 5 boroughs who says he has a paranormal experience. What have you seen?
Of course you forget, Peter. I was present at an undersea, unexplained mass sponge migration.
Oh, Ray, the sponge has migrated about 1.5 feet.
This exchange makes it pretty obvious that up until this point, our 3 heroes had never even seen a ghost. They had no real hands-on experience and only the folklore and mythology of history to go by. Our soon-to-be Ghostbusters were no more paranormal investigators than those guys on the Discovery Channel. After the encounter with the Pink Lady, they decide to go into business for themselves. We soon witness the guys purchasing a building, and we are treated to a scene in which Ray shows up with a car that will become Ecto-1. Later, we get an establishing shot of Ray fixing the car as Dana enters the building for the first time. What we don't see is how the hell they got the stuff that actually matters. We don't get a single shot of Egon, who I assume is the one who did it, building the proton packs, traps, or the containment unit. These are not simple devices, by the way. According to the movie, the proton pack is a nuclear accelerator. You can't build that in a weekend. I would imagine such a piece of equipment taking at least a year to create from scratch, especially if you're working off the sample data of just one ghost encounter. I'm just saying it's weird that such an important part of the movie isn't explained even in passing. It's weird that we're shown detailed scenes of them buying an old car in a fire station. Seriously, I don't need to be convinced that they set up shop and bought a car, but I would like some more information regarding the physics-defying, toilet paper burning, glass breaking, chain cutting, magical lightning guns. Number 4, Egon. Just Egon. He's weird. With all due respect to the late and great Harold Ramis, Egon is one of the weirdest parts of the film, and that's what makes his character so compelling. He's not the typical nerd character relying on the typical nerd comedy. In fact, he appears to be totally normal, but he's not. I never picked up on this as a kid, but during the entirety of the film, the geeky hot secretary Janine Melnitz makes quite a few not-so-subtle attempts to flirt with our scientifically endowed hero Egon, only to have such attempts fly directly over his head or be otherwise ignored. I mean, lose the bug-eyed glasses and tell me you want to hit that. When Janine attempts to make small talk peppered with flattery and hints at her athleticism, Egon responds by telling her he collects spores, molds, and fungus. Probably the least sexiest thing ever said in a movie. To his credit, when she hints later in the film that a lot of women find men of intelligence sexy, Egon is the one whose reference goes over her head when he claims women would be more interested in his epidemis.
That's a big Twinkie.
Yet by the time Ghostbusters 2 came around, Egon was still single and remained so during that film as well. So what's the deal with Egon? Is he asexual? Is he just socially inept? I mean, Peter had Dana. Even Ray had that weird ghost lady thing. Which brings me to number 3. Number 3. What the fuck did I just watch? So by this point in the film, we're having a great time watching this awesome movie about a group of somewhat goofy guys busting ghosts, living in an abandoned fire station, driving a cool tricked out car, shooting mysterious proton packs, and hanging out with very attractive women in New York City. And then this happens. Let me ask you, is this sequence A, real, B, a dream, or C, disturbing? I think you know the answer. I mean, what the hell was that? Out of nowhere, we get a gratuitous scene in which Ray gets visited by a beautiful ghost woman who appears floating above his bed and begins to undo his pants. The scene passes fairly quickly with a cut to the other members of the Ghostbusters tossing in their sleep. This seems to indicate it was a dream, but there's really no way to tell, and this raises two very important questions. If it's supposed to be real, why is this happening? And if it's a dream, why is this happening? This scene serves no purpose at all in the film. There's no subplot about a dead girlfriend, there's no joke being made, there's no sense of any kind. And the weirdest part is nobody says anything about this whole experience throughout the rest of the movie. We've all heard about the infamous rewrites that were done to Dan Aykroyd's original script, which involved the Ghostbusters being in space and a bunch of other wacky stuff that would have never worked. So how did this scene survive? Dan Aykroyd used the biggest film of 1984 to introduce the world to the concept of ghost sex and didn't bother to offer any kind of explanation.
I feel like I'm taking crazy pills!
Number 2. The inclusion of this guy. Let's skip ahead toward the end of the film. Walter Peck is forced to shut down the protection grid, resulting in the containment unit exploding through the roof of the Ghostbusters headquarters with a concentrated beam of paranormal energy. The Ghostbusters have been released from jail and are on their way to the mayor's office. Meanwhile, inside the mayor's office, we are treated to a conversation between the mayor, his top aides, and what I assume is a fire commissioner for the city of New York. In this classic scene, we have the Ghostbusters fighting for the right to exist and the chance to stop whatever is happening to the city. We have over-the-top religious references convincing a bishop and the mayor, and this is a scene in which the character Peter Venkman really begins to shine.
Dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
Playing the antagonist is Walter Peck, making the case that the Ghostbusters are frauds. I'll let Peck explain it.
People think they're seeing ghosts, and they call these bozos who conveniently show up to deal with the problem with a fake electronic light show.
As opposed to a real electronic light show, which would be totally okay. Then Commissioner Dumbass decides to chime in with his 2 cents, resulting in a line that has to be the dumbest, least helpful, most unnecessary piece of dialogue in the entire film. No joke, here is his actual line from the movie, his only line.
All I know is that was no light show we saw this morning. I've seen every form of combustion known to man. But this beats the hell out of me.
It may not sound like such a dumb statement right away, but let's dive in a little deeper. First off, we're supposed to believe this 100-year-old bag of hot air has seen every kind of explosion known to man. What about supernova? You get supernovas in New York? My point is, go home, Grandpa, you're drunk. Second, in one breath, he claims there is no way it could be a light show, but that it was not an explosion, and then finally admits he's an idiot.
But this beats the hell out of me.
Grandpa Joe, everybody, give him a hand. It's not a light show. It's not an explosion. I have no idea what it was. Where am I? What year is it? What's going on?
This beats the hell out of me.
Certainly if Grandpa doesn't know what's happening, we're truly screwed, because as you all know, he is the authority on light shows, explosives, and the paranormal. Are you sure you don't know what's going on?
This beats the hell out of me.
Damn it! Now it stands to reason that if it doesn't match any kind of explosion known to man, maybe we should reconsider the whole light show theory. I mean, a beam of light did just blast through the roof of a building. But maybe I'm being too hard on the guy. I mean, it's not like Walter Peck was ever right about anything. Number 1, Walter Peck was right about everything. Seriously, think about it. Walter Peck was right about a whole lot of stuff. Okay, not the fake electronic light show or the nerve gas bullshit. I suspect even Peck didn't believe that crap. But aside from the pissing contest in the mayor's office, Walter Peck was right. For those of you who haven't seen the movie, or haven't seen it in a long time, Walter Peck is the human, non-ghost, bad guy in the movie Ghostbusters. Typical of the 1980s culture, his character is a government bureaucrat with the Environmental Protection Agency, because we all know how evil those guys are. So throughout the entire film, Peck is portrayed as a dickless, slimy, rude, pretentious, and even power-hungry government official hell-bent on destroying small businesses, or something like that. It was the Reagan years after all. But what was Peck's great sin? Doing his job, protecting the public good. He is the bad guy because he was right. So Peck shows up, he's polite, he's courteous, just as he should be. His only concern is the possibility of environmentally dangerous materials leaking into the city's water supply, polluting the city's air, perhaps even radiation leaks. But instead of being civil and maybe setting up a better time for what would no doubt be a very safe and routine inspection, Peter rakes Peck over the coals for no reason other than our own amusement and to show that big government fella he has personal property rights, damn it. But it's not like there was anything to worry about, right?
Why worry? Each of us is wearing an unlicensed nuclear accelerator on his back.
Okay, so they have some sort of mysterious unlicensed nuclear accelerator that shoots beams of protons in odd, unpredictable patterns across the sky. Beams of protons that set hallways on fire, burn toilet paper, and can destroy an entire bar. But it's not like the Ghostbusters aren't careful with it.
It's okay, the table broke the fall.
Okay, so they're a little careless. And of course there is that whole cross the streams thing.
Cross the streams.
Every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light sounds pretty bad.
Okay, all right, important safety tip. Thanks, Egon.
Having too long of a stream and getting your face burns off sounds pretty bad too. Also, the whole don't look directly at the trap thing sounds pretty bad. I mean, even welders are required to wear masks.
I looked at the trap, Ray.
These guys go around New York City shooting nuclear-charged protons all over the place, flashing blinding lights in public, and setting shit on fire. What the hell, Ghostbusters? Get your shit together! Add to the fact that once caught, the Ghostbusters didn't have any kind of long-term plan for storage, and you have a real safety issue.
The light is green, the trap is clean.
Ghost is stored inside this big red bomb waiting to explode. According to the Twinkie scene, less than a year into their highly successful business, the containment unit was already filling up to capacity, and more ghosts were expected to arrive any day. And according to the post-library scene at the start of the film, Egon's design doesn't dispose of the ghost, it simply contains them indefinitely. That's like having a trash can that never gets emptied. What could possibly go wrong with that system?
This is it! This is the sign!
It's a sign, alright. A sign we need stronger oversight. But the way I see it, there are two major problems with this whole situation. First off, any old PG&E employee can waltz in and shut down the protection grid by simply guessing which lever to pull. There's no backup, no failsafe, no password. What the hell, Egon? What if there's a power outage? You mean to tell me that the inadequate wiring, your words...
The wiring is substandard, it's completely inadequate for our power needs.
If that wiring inside this old fire station happened to fail... What if someone was roughhousing near the containment unit and bumped that lever? I mean seriously, the dude pulls one lever and your whole system explodes. Second, with the containment unit filling up as quickly as it was, and with the surge of paranormal activity about to hit the city, how well would this grid have been able to hold up? They had no plan. They were all sitting around joking about Twinkies while their metallic balloon of ghosts stretched itself thin. Odds are that thing was going to blow either way. I mean, I hate to say it, but...
They caused an explosion.
Exactly. Really, it was the Ghostbusters' total disregard for safety that caused the explosion. Should he have given Egon, who is far more rational and sexless than Peter, a chance to explain how the unit functions and the dangers involved? Yes. But from Peck's point of view, he was just doing his job and dealing with a group of hostile violators of federal law. So what does Walter Peck get for serving his country? He gets humiliated in front of the mayor, insulted, and escorted out of City Hall in disgrace. So depressed and alone, not a friend in the world, he does what any thwarted, well-meaning public servant would do in such a situation. He wanders the city streets, replaying the day's events in his mind, trying to figure out what he should have done differently. How could he have handled the situation better? Is there perhaps something to all this ghost-busting nonsense after all? And then the heavens open up, and this happens. In porn, they call that the money shot. For a moment, let's forget the unlikelihood of all the liquid marshmallow falling directly on Walter Peck's head. I mean, all the people standing in the area and it only hits him.
Come on!
But aside from that, do you have any idea what temperature marshmallow has to be before it melts into a liquid form like that? Fucking hot, that's what temperature. We're talking serious sticky burns. Hospitalization, years of therapy, and if that's if he lived through what basically amounts to a sugary napalm attack from above. Perfect way to end the perfect day, right, Pecky? To be honest, until his appearance in the Ghostbusters video game, I was pretty sure Walter Peck was dead. If not from the direct result of the burns, then certainly from the effects of depression following his recovery. After all, he wasn't in the sequel. So those are my top 6 strange things about the movie Ghostbusters. Did I leave anything out? Leave a comment below, and if there's enough of them, maybe I'll make a second video. In the meantime, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter, and until next time, keep being awesome.